How effective is the fertility awareness method? That's a question that I get asked a lot, and it's probably one of the first questions that people ask. Today I'm going to be talking about specifically the Sympto-Thermal method, as this is the method that I use and teach. As you may have heard, there can be various percentage rates for how effective the method is, and different methods will have slightly different effective rates. This could be inaccurate information, and it could determine the decision you make whether you want to use fertility awareness or not, which is why I want to share this information today with you. I know some GPs and OBGYNs that aren't aware of this information, and they don't understand how effective the method is, which is why they will tell you not to practice fertility awareness, and they will tell you that it's an unreliable method and you can easily fall pregnant. And this will be another video coming up in future about how to advocate yourself in the doctor's office when they do tell you that the fertility awareness method isn't effective, and they try and put fear into you and tell you not to use it. Recently, I have heard of some general practitioners that are very aware of fertility awareness, and they promote it and they encourage their patients to use it. So I feel like that the world is definitely heading that way. I know some GPs that are very aware of the fertility awareness method, and they do promote it and encourage their patients to use it. It's just that not enough practitioners are promoting it and taking the time to understand the method and allowing their patients to practice the method without wanting to prescribe hormonal birth control. Before I do get started, I want to clarify again that I will be only speaking about the effective rate of the Sympto-Thermal method, as this is the method that I use and teach. And I do encourage you that if you do use a different method, or that you are interested in another different method, then I would highly encourage you to go and research the method yourself and find the studies for that particular method. Otherwise, I hope this will clarify some things for you and help you make the decision to switch to the fertility awareness method. Just quickly, a brief overview of what the Sympto-Thermal method is and what it involves is that you are charting your cycles. So you take your temperature every morning upon waking, so you need to have at least a minimum of 3 hours of sleep, and you take your temperature and then you note it in your chart. The other biomarker that you are charting is your cervical mucus. So every day you go to the bathroom, or I like to say every time you get dressed or changed, then you would check for cervical mucus and you would note the most fertile mucus that you've seen for that day. And what you will see over time in your chart is you will be able to determine your fertile window when it's open and then when it closes. And once you know your fertile window, then you know to abstain from intercourse, as that will cause a pregnancy. So that means that if you understand the method, then you can practice it as your natural birth control. The Sympto part stands for the symptoms that your body is showing you, such as cervical mucus. And you can also track other biomarkers. A lot of people like to track breast tenderness, cramps, bloating. Of course, those things aren't normal, so it's important to investigate those things, and it's really good to have that on your chart, so that way you might see a pattern and then you'll be able to show that to a health practitioner that you might be working with to resolve those issues, hoping that they do acknowledge the fertility awareness method and aren't against it. And then the thermal part is the thermal shift that you are looking for in your temperature. So your temperatures will be stagnant across. They might be slightly up and down. Then you are looking for that shift to show you that you can confirm ovulation. The Sympto-Thermal double check method, so the double check part, refers to double checking and calculating the opening and closing of your fertile window. When looking at the effectiveness rate of the fertility awareness method or the Sympto-Thermal method, it's based on two different types of effectiveness. The first one is perfect use, and the second one is typical use. Perfect use effectiveness is based upon working with an instructor and how well you stick to the rules and the method, as sometimes there can be deviations, or sometimes you are lenient with the rules, and that is when you would fall into the typical use category, as you typically use the method sparingly, depending on what your intention scale is, whether that is if you would welcome a pregnancy and you are in a relationship, that would be okay, or if you are a strict 0, absolutely no, and you would be open to taking the morning after pill or even having an abortion. With perfect use calculations in the study done, it is based upon what is calculated in the clinical trials. because it follows the participants very closely in the study as they were all working with an instructor. So that is where the perfect use percentage rate comes from, as well as the environment is controlled to ensure that the effective rates are as accurate as possible. And this is basically the best case scenario. Typical use is how well the method would work in the real world, as mistakes can happen, and they do happen. Whether that's going unprotected a day early, these things are common, and that would fall under typical use of the method. So the answer that you've probably all been waiting for, what is the figure? What is the percentage rate that the method is effective? And the most current study we have for the Sympto-Thermal method was done in 2007, which was a clinical trial. This study followed 900 women over 20 years, which was just over 17,500 menstrual cycles that they followed. And the women worked closely using the SensiPlan method. I've put the link down below so you can go check out the study yourself. So based on this method, it is 99.6% effective with perfect use. This is based on users that abstained from intercourse during their fertile window, and typical use is 98.2% effective. But this figure may not be completely correct as it is taken from the trial, and in the real world there is usually more room for error, and that is known as user error, not so much method error. So there's also two different reasons why it might not work. Was it because the method failed the user, or the user failed to follow the method correctly? Which is also another topic for another day that we can expand on. So in conclusion, to achieve the highest effective rate of the Sympto-Thermal method, it is advised to work closely with an instructor. You need to, number one, ensure you accurately follow and observe your fertility signs. Ensure that you are following the calculation rules to determine when you are fertile, and then ensuring that you abstain in the fertile window. Consistency is key here, as if you make a mistake, this could end up with a pregnancy, and even 1 to 2 days difference can mean a lot when it comes to your fertile window. And this is why it's really important to take the learning process very seriously and do invest in an instructor, as investing in an instructor now is going to save you a lot of mistakes down the road later, as you might be using the method on your own for 8 to 12 months before anything happens, but then that one slip up can result in an unwanted pregnancy. Now, I don't want to scare you, I just want to share this information with you, and I want to make sure that you are aware, as transparency is very important to me as well, and ensuring that everybody is aware of this information before they make the right decision for themselves. As I know, when doctors prescribe hormonal birth control, they don't always tell you what the side effects are. You are only given the effective rate, and even then a lot of people still report back that they have fallen pregnant on hormonal birth control because it wasn't the right fit for them, or because the dosage wasn't high enough, or they weren't taking it correctly. There's so many variables to that as well, which is also another topic for another day we can explore. But like I said, I don't want to scare you today, and I know that charting can feel really overwhelming, and I was there too. It took me a good 8 to 12 months to really understand how to chart my cycles, and even though I worked closely with an instructor, I still needed that extra help. But I know you might be wondering, well, how do I even get started? So I want to let you know that I've got a guidebook that I created on the 5 things that you need to know before you begin charting. In that ebook, I go through what thermometers I recommend, what apps I recommend to chart in. I also talk about how to take your temperature, and then cervical mucus, so how to find it, and also the types of cervical mucus you might be seeing, as well as cervical checks. So if you'd like to download that ebook, you can do so down below. I posted the link for you. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me on Instagram, or you can also send me an email at jess@chartingwithjess.com, and all the details are posted down below. And once again, thank you so much for watching, and if you love this video, give it a big thumbs up, and also don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below so you can be notified when the next video is posted. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.